So you want to make more money. Scratch that. Maybe you need to make more money. The thing about society today is it costs a lot to live. Most people don't make enough to save enough to live comfortably and invest enough all at the same time. The numbers just aren't adding up. I have figured out a solution. I've been able to buy all these properties, almost 300 rental properties, all without using any of my own money. This has allowed me and my family to become financially free, and I've done it in 4 phases. And now I have a team that pretty much does everything for me. So I'm able to focus my time on the things that I want to do at work and with my family, which is what I want most. And I have a money printing machine running in the background. Phase 1 was understanding my current predicament and making a choice at what to do. Before I got started investing, I was probably right where you are right now, working a W-2 corporate job, doing decent, working on getting raises and promotions, and I was actually doing that, getting a lot of raises and a lot of promotions. But as I was climbing the corporate ladder and making more money, I saw 2 things I didn't really like. I was paying a lot more in taxes than I wanted to, and I was not able to spend as much time with my family as I wanted to. As you gain more responsibility at most jobs, you have to spend more time at that job to ensure those responsibilities are taken care of, and you usually let some things slide. A lot of times it's your family time. So I was at a tension point. What do? Do I push myself further to make more money, to live more comfortably while losing out time with my family? Do I focus more on my family and maybe let my job slide and have that go into jeopardy? Or do I get rid of all the fun activities in my life and only work at my job and only spend time with my family and not have any other fun besides, of course, my family? After looking around at my options, I decided to go in door number 3 that I didn't even mention, and that was start to learn about real estate investing. I had seen some people I know get into the investing game, and I saw what freedom it created for them. I had read books and seen a lot of people talk about 90% of millionaires are created through real estate. So I decided to explore this real estate option to see if it could provide me the freedom I wanted and the wealth I wanted all at the same time. Phase 2. Get educated. I decided I was going to pursue real estate as a side hustle, do my work, my family time, and get rid of some of the play time and invest that time into real estate to see if it could solve my problems. The big issue was I didn't know anything about real estate investing other than it looked like a good idea and other people had done very well investing. And I knew that I wasn't going to take action unless I got a base level of confidence. And I knew that I wasn't going to get a base level of confidence unless I got the right knowledge to go out and take action. And I didn't know any mentors or anybody really personally that was in the real estate investing space. And remember, this was 2012 and 2013. There wasn't much on real estate investing out there on social media or YouTube channels or anything like that because people were still recovering from the 2008 crash. The first resource I found that was legitimate and that helped me a ton was Bigger Pockets, an amazing podcast that walked through a lot of real estate investing examples and gave me enough confidence and gave me enough direction to go out and learn more. So I bought a ton of books and listened to Bigger Pockets podcast on my way to and from work almost every single day. Now, the beautiful thing about today is you have a ton of resources at your disposal that I did not have. You have the Faster Freedom Show channel here on YouTube. We have our podcast. We have our teaching videos. We have videos like this where you can learn a ton from. You will know more after watching several of my videos here than I knew after I did several deals because I've been through it and I explain how to do it for newbies. And if you like to listen to podcasts like I do on your way to and from work, make sure you check out the Faster Freedom Show podcast on all podcast networks. 2 episodes a week. We have a lot of fun and teach even more. Phase 3 is the implementation phase. Knowing how to do something does not put money in your bank account or add zeros to your net worth. Just having the knowledge is not good enough. You have to go out and take action and learn how to implement. This was something that I was not very good at first. Again, I didn't have the resources and the types of things that are out there right now and that I offer for free and as a part of my paid community. So me and my business partner, Lucas, were just trying to figure things out. We were looking for contractors on Thumbtack or Craigslist. We were in Facebook groups and trying to find ways to source deals and to source funding. And honestly, we were spinning our wheels a ton. It wasn't until I went to a local real estate investing meetup and met other active investors that I started to learn how to implement. Because reading books on your own or listening to podcasts or even talking to people online is just a lot of window shoppers and tire kickers. But when you go to these local meetups, you meet actual active investors, people that are doing deals skills and people that are willing to help, because most successful people, especially in the real estate space, understand that if they help someone understand something and they help someone be successful, it feels good, but there's also a very, very high probability that you will end up selling a house to that person or buying a house from that person or utilizing their services in some way in the future. So it is definitely a mutually beneficial situation. So learning from other people's implementation processes is huge. You can do this by paying for a program, which is the most efficient way to do it. I have one, but we're not really going to talk about it right now. Just know that every successful person that I know pays for some type of coaching, mastermind, life coach, some type of community. But you can do it for free, especially in real estate with these local meetups. So you need to be willing to spend a handful of hours a week meeting other investors for coffee, going to local meetups and talking to them, and entrenching yourself in the local community, and then following somebody else's grooved path. I remember specifically in 2014, I had bought my very first property. My plan was to flip it and sell it and take the profit and use that profit and put that 20% down on a rental property, because I didn't have the 20% down to put on a rental property. The only way I knew how to come up with that cash quickly was to flip a house. So I borrowed money from a private lender. After 6 months of trying to find one, I bought a house and I was in the middle of rehabbing it. And I was connecting with my local community at this point. I went to a local meetup and I actually met the gentleman, Brian, who put on the local meetup. We were having a quick conversation. I was telling him what I was doing. And he said, why don't you just go to the small local bank and refinance this property? They'll give you a loan and you can pay off your private lender, and then you can keep the property and you don't have to use any of your own money for the down payment, because you'll bring that money as equity in the deal. First, that blew my mind. Second, I was like, well, I don't know any banks that would do that. And he said, here's one. And he handed me a business card. I called the bank and they did exactly what he said. I ended up learning about the BRRRRS method from Brian in a quick 30-second conversation. I got the connection I needed, and boom, I've been able to buy 300 of them since then without using any of my own money. Now, of course, I put a lot of work and effort into that, but this just shows you a little nudge here or there in the right direction from somebody who's already implemented it can completely change your life. It changed mine. Step 4 is turning this newfound side hustle, this newfound investing plan, into a passive money-making machine. Now, there's a ton of effort that goes into this, and this will not happen overnight. But if you have the right systems, the right guidance, and the right plan, it can happen for you. On to phase 4, creating a passive money-making machine. I'm gonna give you 3 systems and 3 directions to help you do this more efficiently. The first system you need to get into play is a lead generation system. You don't have anything if you don't have leads coming across your plate, because unfortunately, you're not going to buy every single deal that gets sent your way. You're not gonna have the funding always. It's not gonna be the right timing, but more likely, they're not all going to be deals. It's a numbers game. You need to get as many deals, hopefully good deals, coming through your pipeline every single month as possible, so that you're able to take advantage of the correct percentage of those, so that you're able to scale and buy more. There are a ton of ways to get leads. There's free ways and there's paid ways. Let's cover a couple paid ways quickly, then get into the free ones, because that's where I think you should focus your time. If you do want to spend money to buy leads, there are a few ways to do it relatively cheaply. The first one is driving for dollars. You drive around and you look for distressed properties. It's going to cost you a little bit of money in gas. And if you use an app that will help you do it more efficiently, you're able to send direct mail or do cold calling or cold texting through that app to the homeowner of the house that you drove by that's distressed that you want to buy. There are ways to pay directly for leads. Somebody else spends the money on marketing and they hand you the lead. There's ways to send direct mail yourself through List. There are a ton of different ways to do it. Make sure to check out the description. I will have some links to some free trials for you if you want to start a free trial to eventually maybe pay for marketing leads, which will get you more leads quicker. But the free ways is what I would focus on. There are 2 main things I would do if you are a new real estate investor to get leads coming your way. The first is connect with local wholesalers. Local wholesalers are the people that are finding the distressed properties. A lot of them, that is their full-time job, is to go out and hunt down deals. They knock on doors. They do that driving for dollars. They send direct mail. They go do all the legwork, take all the time and spend all the risk getting the property under contract. At that point, they will bring you the contract and it's up to you to decide, does it make sense? Is it a good deal? Should I negotiate? That's where you put in your work. But the deal, the lead is brought to your plate. You can find them by joining your local real estate investing meetup groups that I keep telling you to do, by joining your local real estate investing Facebook groups like we talked about a little bit earlier, or if you see those bandit signs on the side of the road that say "We Buy houses or we buy ugly houses. Those are all wholesalers. So if you're not driving, call or text that number and get on that wholesalers list. And the key here is get to know these wholesalers personally so they will start to send you their deals first. And the second way is pretty obvious: real estate agents. Most real estate agents have a core group of investors that they work with if they're an investor-friendly real estate agent. So you're going to need to start to work your way up that pecking order by getting to know the right real estate agents and making yourself valuable and useful to them. The second system you need to start to implement if you want to create financial freedom and passive wealth: outsourcing responsibilities and jobs. Hence the word passive. If you want to spend little to no time in it, you have to have somebody else doing that work that you're not wanting to or can't do. This is a really tough one for people to understand. You can't always be the hero in every situation if you want to eventually remove yourself to a certain degree. So you need to get good at finding the right people. And there's a systemized way to do it. And then there's how I did it. How I did it was Lucas and I would do everything ourselves that we could in our free time. And then when we were able to get to a certain point, we decided we're pulling our hair out constantly on this mess, so let's hire this mess out. The first one was project management. We were spending a ton of time on evening and weekends managing these projects that we were able to get going. So we hired somebody and we paid them through the profit of the deal, so it wasn't overhead on us every month. It was a variable cost dependent on how much money we made on those specific deals. So we hired out a project manager. That allows us to spend more time getting deals, getting funding, and focusing on other things and still scale at the same time. Now, of course, like any other hire, you're giving up some profit or you're giving up some income, but if you're doing it the right way, it allows you to scale. So as you pull out your hair, let's call this the pull out hair method. As you pull out your hair, hire the most frustrating thing that's taking up the most of your time, especially if you don't like doing it, and focus on what you do like doing and what you do well and what moves the needle. If you want to grow, you got to be okay with letting things go. And the third system that you need to implement is probably the second most important besides deals. It's finding the funding. If you get a deal, you can at least make money on it by wholesaling it without getting the funding sources. But if you want to continually do deals, flip, and keep rentals, you have to get the funding figured out. There's two main sources of funding that you need to focus your time on. The beautiful thing is there is more money out there than deals. You just don't know where to find the money. I'm going to do my best to cover this now. And if you haven't figured out, in the description below, there are a ton of free resources for you to try, as well as free training that goes deeper into all of these topics. The first main funding source you need to find is short-term funding. This is what you use to buy and fix distressed properties. Unless you have a ton of money yourself, even if you do, great, good for you. You probably don't have enough to scale and continually make the money at your job and put it into real estate and actually grow it and live the lifestyle that you want. So private lenders and hard money lenders are going to be the 1 and 2 option that you're going to look for. Private lenders are the holy grail, and hard money lenders are a really good resource as well. I have a ton of videos on how to find them. In fact, I have a free training in the description that will talk about exactly how to find those funding sources. The second funding source is long-term funding. Small local banks that hold your note for 25 to 30 years so that you're able to cash flow if you want to own rental properties. They're pretty easy to find. Just ask other investors in your area who they use and just look for these small local banks with 5 to 10 branches that like to invest with real estate investors. All right, I know that was action-packed. That was a lot. Sorry it wasn't super entertaining, but hopefully it was educational, and that's why you're here, to learn so that you can grow and scale your life. If you learned anything, I would really appreciate you hit that like button, that subscribe button, and checking out some other videos on this channel. I promise you will learn a ton. And make sure to listen to our podcast, The Faster Freedom Show, on all podcast networks. Don't forget to check out that description below. I will see you on the next one.